All right, so I'm planning on hosting this for about an hour. For those of you guys who are in Twitch chat or checking this out on YouTube, what we're doing is we've brought up some of our Degenerate gaming streamers, and we're just going to kind of go over a couple of general things about content creation, whether that be monetization, the industry, or equipment. And we're going to talk to a bunch of different creators that specialize in different platforms. If you guys have specific questions, we'll be taking those as well, highlighted messages, or you can post them in the Discord in the appropriate questions channel. We will be posting this on YouTube, so if you guys can't make it, make sure you guys check that out in the next couple of days once I get it all edited. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of make a place for us to answer some questions to some of our community degens and help each other out. And then also some of our degen streamers themselves, we all get to kind of learn from each other and share our experiences, and hopefully it helps everybody. All right, so I'm really, really excited to be doing this, guys. Astral, you want to start from left to right here. Introduce yourself. Tell us what type of content you produce. Just a quick couple minutes, seconds.
You got it. Yeah, can do. Hi, everyone. My name is Astral Slame. I am an MTG Arena and Commander content creator here for Degen, primarily on the platforms of Twitch, TikTok, and a little bit on the YouTubes. If it's got paper and is a card game, I play it and make content about it. It's fun, also expensive, but magic is life. Hi.
Phoenix, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a variety streamer. I've been playing a lot of Valheim lately, looking at New World. It seems interesting. Currently kind of not streaming too much because I'm helping Nerd Girl get the community going.
Yeah, Phoenix has done a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, which has been pretty great. For those of you guys on my Twitch, you probably know me. My name is MTG Nerd Girl. I do a ton of content as far as magic, and I do some variety. I also started a stream team. How about that? Voiden, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi guys, I'm Voiden. I do a mix of variety and MTGA. You can see me pop up in a bunch of other people's streams, usually brought on to keep the crowds entertained as well. So that's about it about me.
Awesome. Fluffy Wolf?
Hey there, Fluffy Wolf. I'm a modern Magic the Gathering online streamer. That's my primary focus. You might know me as a Blood Moon player or Red Prison player. Given, I guess, the other side, a lot of arena folks, so got the old school online here on our stream.
Awesome. LK?
Hi, yeah. I mostly stream Magic the Gathering Arena. I will occasionally do a little bit of variety, that's what's called. And when it comes to Arena, I'm mostly trying to focus on Historic Brawl, but I'll do pretty much any format on Arena for a little bit.
All right, and the one James also jumped up here. Tell us about yourself.
Hey, I'm the one James. Previously, you might know of me as Charizard James, but the one James now. I stream Magic the Gathering Arena for Standard and Historic mostly. Sometimes I jump into Draft or Brawl or something, but mostly Standard and Historic. And I also have a YouTube channel, and I host a podcast. I used to host a podcast. I do still have plans on doing that, but also do that as well. And that's basically it.
Awesome. So that's just a little bit about some of the degen streamers that showed up here at the start. We probably will have some more pop in and out. I will be kind of asking you guys questions directly, depending on what type of question it is, based on your content. James, can you do me a favor when you're not talking? Can you mute? There's some background noise. All right, guys. So one of the things I just wanted to touch on briefly is one thing. I feel like this is really important, and a lot of streamers have different opinions on this, and it's a great thing for people to kind of know right out of the gate. And that is one thing that you wish you knew when you started doing content that you didn't, like something you discovered that helped you out a lot that you might not have known just going into it. Let's go ahead and start with you, Astral.
Honestly, knowing something I was going to enjoy streaming. As broad as that may sound, if you intend to start streaming, the thing you start with may not be the actual thing you enjoy, or you may get the idea to kind of go with the thing that'll bring in followers and numbers. It took me probably 1.5 to 2 years to really find that I wanted to stream Magic, despite having played the game for 18 years. So I wish I had known it sooner, and I wish I had found the community sooner.
Awesome. Phoenix?
For me, it's more of a play what you want and not what you think the communities that you're part of wants.
James?
Something that surprised me when I first started that is just the overall community and everybody coming together, all the streamers coming together, all the people in chats that you recognize from your stream and other people's streams. I didn't realize going into it how much of a community all it was. You go into streaming in my first week, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get this many viewers, or I'm gonna have my friends watch me, and we're gonna make affiliate. And it was kind of like about me, but then the more and more I went on, the more and more I realized it's about us all together.
All right, Voiden?
I'd say that the biggest thing that I wish I knew when I started streaming was that you should probably transplant yourself into a community, right? Like, find an identity for yourself and find, what makes you you, right? And you may not know what that is, but once you surround yourself with other like-minded people, they'll probably tell you what makes you you. And they'll help you find out your best identity for yourself. So I guess it's listening to other people.
Okay. Fluffy Wolf?
I probably more discovered just like, don't be so perfect. Throw things out there. You're going to have like things that don't do well, and then you're going to have things that surprise you that take off, and be ready to just do a little bit more of that and kind of enjoy the exciting ride.
LK?
I'd say that I'm still starting, so I'm still learning a lot of these things. But one thing that I have learned thus far is that you really just I don't know where I'm going with this.
That's okay. So for me, the one thing that I wish I hadn't done or thought to do before starting content creation, which most of you are already doing because you're here, and that is consume a lot of content. When I started doing streaming, I jumped in full time right out of the gate, and I was not a consumer of content. Like, I didn't watch a lot of YouTube. I didn't do Twitch really. I was just playing competitive Magic, and everybody was like, hey, you should stream this. People want to see it. I was like, okay, let's do the thing. But I didn't know what was possible. I didn't know what alerts were. I didn't know, Twitch emotes or anything like that. And it's not copying other creators, but learning what's possible, learning what a good structure is for content is really important. So if you are not actually a consumer of any content, you are likely to just kind of suck. So I definitely recommend poke around, even if it's not something you enjoy. Like, look at the different types of categories on Twitch. Check out literally all of them. Look at, different games that you don't enjoy. Look at, different gender of content creators, just everything, but also focus a little bit on the type of content you want to create and produce, and see what tools are out there. Ask a lot of questions about, hey, what is it that's doing this alert or shout out? What is the name of this bot that you're using? And do a lot of the groundwork of just experiencing content before actually going in and creating your own. That's kind of what I wish I had done, because man, my old VODs sucked. Holy smokes. All right, so another quick thing I want to direct to some of our larger creators here on the channel is diversifying your platforms, and I want to get some takes on that. Astral, I know you do some Twitch, you do some TikTok. How have you found diversifying your platforms to be, as like, whether it's difficult, easy, helpful, not helpful? What's your take?
Difficult, but worth investing into. So the time management is probably the trickiest thing in trying to balance what's actually good on what platform. Not everything is for every platform. For example, TikTok is a very video-centric type of platform. Text-heavy videos don't do well. However, a quick-to-grasp video that is like 9 to 15 seconds long with a cool, funny hook or idea on it is something that is nice in the attention. And when you're maximizing that kind of effort and changing your style to those different mediums, you're opening yourself up for more audiences, and that's where it's helpful, right? You can bring in people on other platforms that may have not seen you just directly on Twitch. Twitch's discoverability, as we all know, is not an optimized type of situation, whereas on other platforms, searchability and getting yourself out there can be a bit easier. So it's tricky, but getting the handle of it is worth it to maximize the overall audience and community that you can interact with.
James, have you done much with other platforms? What has been your experience?
I've done a little bit on TikTok, and I've done a little bit on other smaller platforms. But I mean, TikTok's huge now. But mainly what I'm focusing on is YouTube as the other platform. And for me, I know that if me personally with my time management, I know Ashley's touched on this. I know that I can, the way I am, I can very go all in on things at once. And so I want to put my focus on certain things and not like spread myself out too thin. So I'm mainly focusing on my YouTube right now that's outside of Twitch. And it is very difficult. There's a lot of things that I had to learn. There's a lot of things I didn't think I would have to learn as far as like graphic design things that I needed to learn, and how to structure a YouTube video and how to edit, like different things like that. I never knew I would have to learn going into streaming, but my end goal was I want to learn how to stream. I want to do what those people do because I gained a lot of inspiration from other streamers just watching other people's content. But as far as what Astral, like to piggyback off of what Astral was saying about branching out into other platforms in order to get more engagement and more eyeballs on you, there's a lot of people that watch Magic content that don't even know anything about Twitch. There's a lot of people that watch Magic content on Twitch that don't know anything about Magic on YouTube. But to have both of those together, both seeing your content brings more eyeballs to your content. But I would say in focusing on YouTube, there's other things I'm learning also. I'm learning what makes people watch you, what makes people not want to watch you. Because in YouTube and the analytics, you get to see like how your viewership goes down and where your viewership goes back up. And I know that you have a YouTube channel, Nerd Girl, so you've seen these things before. So you really get to take a really big introspection of what about your content are people not liking. And then you get opportunities to be like, oh, I should not do this anymore. Every time I sneeze on camera or something, people stop watching. And just recognizing and realizing those things really have helped me go a long way in my editing and learning those things and what people don't like to watch, and then what people do like to watch. You can see like spikes in what people like to watch, and and do more of those things. So that's basically the biggest thing I'm learning. But as far as branching out, it's very difficult. It was very difficult for me. I'm not a natural editor or anything like that, but the things that I'm learning along the way is what makes it really like valuable to me, and what makes me want to keep doing it and keep getting better at it. So that's it.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to learn. And when you go from one platform to another, when you diversify, it is kind of like starting from scratch. I've had to learn a lot doing YouTube. I've been full-time on Twitch. And you basically are starting from scratch. And that's hard to do when you're not seeing any, certainly for full-time content creators, any monetary gain from starting over, basically, because your viewership is low, you're not getting any subscribers or whatever the case may be. So it is an uphill battle, and you do really need to put a lot of effort into it in that steep learning curve. But I will say that, there is some cross promotion. So starting on YouTube, I am starting to see some people kind of come over from Twitch being like, hey, this is my first time seeing you live. I love your YouTube videos. So that is a good way to grow. And also there's some skills that are cross-platform. So you might pick up a cool editing tool that you can then use in an intro for your stream, or vice versa. And it's all kind of related. And if you can devote the time to it, it can be very helpful. All right, so there's actually a pretty good question here in the Twitch chat that I wanted to touch on, and that is from Mowgli. So the question is there any sort of like prerequisite for being good at a game, or for high ranked or tournament winning players? Or do you think that you only need to be the best of the best? I'm going to go ahead and lead with this question, guys, because I think that I am a perfect candidate for it. I mean, I'm medium competitive. I've had some good results, but my content itself is not really about pushing high rank or doing anything super extreme or talented, right? I focus a lot more on chat than I do on the actual gameplay, because I'm more focused on the environment and the community that we are creating. So there is a market for everything. There is a market for being the best of the best. There's a market for being entertaining, and there's a market for being a jerk. There's a market for hot tubs. It literally doesn't matter. It's about identifying what market you want to be in and creating the best content within that, because there are viewers in every single one of those markets. So finding out where you fit and then just sort of adapting your content to match that and foster the type of community that you're interested in doing. But I don't think you need to be a Pro Tour winner or a Hall of Famer to make good Magic content, for example. And I would probably be a good example of that. Astral, do you have any thoughts on that?
I would honestly say the same. You don't have to be the best. You don't have to be amazing. You can be. People do come for that type of content, but people also come for the person, right? If you are able to be entertaining with your personality and draw someone in, let's say you make some bad misplays in the game sometimes, but you laugh it off, you make a funny pun, people enjoy that humor, then you've got yourself an audience that's going to enjoy that. You don't have to be the best. You can be better at other things. There's more than one way to market yourself and be in a streamer and stream.
Do you fit yourself into any one market? Like I think I'm a little bit more entertaining. I'm probably in the middle, entertaining, competitive. Where would you put yourself?
Probably a mix between entertaining and competitive. I do some competitive stuff, but I do try to maintain entertaining. So if I do a misplay, I try to play it off as funny or just make some jokes on stream or random shenanigans and stuff to make a positive, fun environment and get some goodish ranks.
Okay.
Question mark.
Voiden, where would you put yourself?
Oh man, this is rough. I'd like to think of myself as a competitive streamer, but I'm definitely not. One of the things that I see a lot, because I consume a lot of streamers that play higher end or things of the sort. And if you're looking to be a higher end streamer, like let's say you're competitive or something of the sort, the number one thing that turns me off from content like that is people who aren't talking through their plays or things of the sort, right? And poor stream quality. I know that that's really easy to say for a bunch of things going on, right? Like, but if you're looking to lean on the fact that you are a higher end player, try to lean it more towards an educational side. That's what I've seen myself coming back to with the competitive players.
Certainly.
But for myself, I'd probably lean more into the entertainment side. I slowly slip into the yelling loud is funny streamer.
I will say that, like, looking at a lot of the Magic content creators, this is open to all creators, of course, but that's just where most of us happen to have our expertise, is that some of the best, players in the world, are not getting huge numbers, right? They're not entertaining. They don't talk through their plays. They're not educational. And so they start streaming thinking that people want to watch them just do their thing. And some do. That's 100% true, but it's not always. So, it kind of is a balance. Fluffy Wolf, you play like a lot of Modern and Moto, which to me leans towards like the more competitive side of things. Where would you fit yourself in this?
Competitive to a fault, but that's probably my nature. I mean, growing up, it was cutthroat with board games in our household. So it's just translated to my, Magic and content. I do want to echo though. What's really funny is, you see people talk or suggest your content, and in the Modern community, I'm almost always suggested for like a Red Prison stuff. But if it's just a general, hey, who would you like to watch or something, people give lists. The most common thing that I see on mine is, oh, go watch Fluffy Wolf. He talks through his plays. And I think just that echoing, that talking through, realistically, I'm an amateur player. I haven't made a pro tour. I haven't, won X, Y, or Z. But like talking through the plays and being the best at maybe one facet of the game has a lot of people coming back. The I guess the gratification that you get from that is when you have like your Discord community or other things going, hey, I learned a lot and I ended up playing and won this FNM. And it's like, yeah, we're all striving to be like, you know, the macho man, macho woman of our FNMs. But like, I think that's where you get it from. Like I am competitive, but maybe Twitch is like helping not be so competitive.
There's definitely, like I said, a market for all sorts of things, and viewers or the consumers of our content come to Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, whatever it is, for a huge, like massive amount of different reasons, and they mix and match all of those reasons. So they could be looking to learn, but they could also be looking for entertainment. So, you know, then that's going to be the person in that market is going to be the most successful. And then there's someone who wants a lot of chat interaction because, you know, who knows, COVID, and they just don't get out much anymore. So they just want to like come in and hang out and like do community drafts or do something, have a good interaction Discord, which as a content creator, you can't possibly do all of it. So I would say focus on the things that you like to do, and you will attract those sorts of viewers and the consumers of content that actually enjoy the aspects of your content. Real quick, I know Phoenix, you are pretty casual, and LK, how have you guys found streaming? This is a question from the chat as well. If you're not super serious about like doing content all the time, if you want to just do 1 or 2 days a week, how have you guys found that? Is it like something that's preventing you from enjoying the content, or what? How do you feel about that, Phoenix?
It depends on why you're streaming. So this is actually a Discord question that I'm going to relate to answer as well. I started streaming because I have really bad anxieties, and I started streaming to force myself to do something that I was uncomfortable with, and it turned out I actually enjoy it. But it does give me anxieties. Like Magic, MT Arena gives me so much anxiety, which is why I don't really play it that much. So you gotta, depends on what, the answer to the Nerd Girl's question, depends on what you're streaming for. Is it because you want to be a full-time streamer, or is it because you're trying to conquer a fear, or you're just having fun?
Certainly, I think if you are a casual streamer and you just enjoy having a couple of people on your channel to like hang out with in game, that is perfectly acceptable. The idea that you might be able to just do 1 day a week and become a successful streamer that lives on it full time is probably a lot more unrealistic, but it depends on what you are looking to create content for, whether you just enjoy it or whether you just want to make money from it. Because I can tell you, there's lots of days I don't want to play Magic, but I have to, or I can't pay my bills. So if you're doing it more casually, I think you can get away with doing just about anything. And we can give you tips about like keeping a consistent schedule, you know, making sure you're producing at least 3 videos a week on YouTube. But none of that matters if you're just doing it because you enjoy it, or you know, or you have a normal job and you just want to play around with this kind of stuff and grow slowly. If you're okay with that, then I think there is, you know, a good place for it. LK, has that been your experience?
Well, I wanted to just point out that I am actually working. I found that streaming is a lot harder than I thought it was. So that's my little point here, because I actually have been trying to go into more of the full-time thing, and I did a lot of streaming in September if you go look back, and it really kind of took me out for a bit, but I will say that it was very gratifying. It was just that I think I jumped in a little more than I could handle right there, because right now I'm taking a little bit of a break, and it's been really tough, but streaming is what I will say has been extremely gratifying. It's just you gotta take it in steps as you get more used to it. Don't kill yourself.
All right, so I'm gonna take a quick shift here. I'm still answering questions from the Twitch chat here. If you guys have any questions, feel free to point them out. But I want to talk a little bit about the equipment side of things. One trap I see some creators get into, or people who are interested in starting content, is they feel like they need to buy the best of everything right away. You need the gaming chair, you need the fancy mic, you need the 5 monitors. I don't think that's true. I definitely wouldn't dump a ton of money into content creation until you know it's something you're going to enjoy. Unless you have expendable income, then whatever, do whatever you want. But a lot of people are starting this out and they're like, man, I would like to do this full time. But I can tell you, very few people succeed, and that is just 100% true. And we learned that with the recent Twitch payout leak that happened, that, 7 Magic players are making more than an educated, like a teacher, right? Everybody else makes less than a teacher. And there's a lot of Magic creators, which is kind of crazy to think about. So what I wanted to do was touch briefly, I want to get everybody to name one item that you think is something you should focus on, that you think is worth it, or something that you think you can do something by getting a budget version. Like, I still kind of have like a $60 camera and it's fine. So Astral, do you have like an item that you think it's worth getting something good right away, or an item that you think is like a little overrated?
The item I would honestly say to make sure that you have right away, and this can still be a budget, is either a headset or a microphone, just because clarity of audio is important. You don't need to spend $400 on it. You can literally get like a $40, $30 headset, just as long as the audio can be clear. I do think cameras for streaming are overrated in the sense that you don't need to buy like this DSL XR type camera for the amazing quality it has for your video. Like I stream with a Logitech 920 webcam, and the quality is good for me. Like I go for quality on budget, and look for something that's in your price range with good review that is going to match for what you want to do. And you, like Nerd Girl said, you don't have to get everything right away, but look for something that can give a little bit of nice quality for the stream and your price range to start out. Not everyone needs a webcam. I think audio is probably the most important thing in that regard, just so you have a way to communicate.
Awesome. Phoenix?
For me personally, it's my Stream Deck. I have a little small one, like the 6-button one that someone in the community gifted to me. And for me, it's just because I have asthma, so I cough a lot. So a quick being able to mute the mic just by a button is a lifesaver. So
Stream Deck is something that I wanted to get for a long time. I have the slightly bigger one, the 3x5 or whatever, and it's an expense. It certainly is, but it has made my life a lot easier. But I would disagree that it's required or like a huge benefit to your content. But once you start to become a little bit more established as a creator, it is definitely very helpful. Voiden, do you have a particular item that you think is important or overrated?
Yeah, actually, funny enough, if you're interested in the Stream Deck, but you don't want to buy the actual product, there are applications that you can get for your phone that you can use in its place that have a subscription service if that's a little bit more affordable for people. For me, I would say the biggest thing that I think helped me out the most is getting a ring light.
Okay.
You can get them for $20 on Amazon, because any faults that you have in your camera, if your camera's lower quality, something of the sort, you could fix a lot of it with lighting. I think people underestimate how strong good lighting is, especially because you don't have to mess with color correction or anything of the sort when you have a good light. I have a ring light that sits right above my Logitech C920 as well. But you can find one on Amazon. Anything with a clamp on it will work perfectly fine. And it's a small little thing, and it's usually affordable, and it makes things look a lot better.
Fluffy Wolf?
I think a lot has been already said. I would go with your mic is probably your best if you are looking to interact with your chat, I guess, audio wise. Probably, I guess maybe since it's been mentioned, maybe like a second monitor.
That's mine.
And also and double checking when you go live, and then not that your audio does sound well. There's plenty of people that have crazy audio setups. They don't see the chat come up because they have one monitor, and then they also don't have it set up correctly, so it's just like really badly sounding, echoing, stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's mic and maybe a second monitor.
So I will say, as a content creator, the one thing that you will not regret investing in, like, yeah, the Stream Deck, it's helpful, it's useful, and it does, yeah, you can put like sounds or whatever, which makes your content fun and better. But a second monitor is so important. I cannot recommend enough. Or I think first, good audio, because nobody wants to listen to static or echo or nonsense. And then the second thing is just, for me, a monitor, because you can keep up with your chat, you can play your game. I have 1,000 tabs open on this other monitor right now. I've got, chat boxes and windows all over the place, and that helps you be a little bit more on top of what's going on while you're creating content. So that is for me. LK?
Yeah, I'm just gonna re-emphasize that second monitor thing because I recently lost my second monitor and had to go back to single monitor, and oh my gosh, I didn't even want to stream at all because it was so horrible. It was really, really bad. So, yeah, second monitor is huge. I realize it doesn't really, it does affect your chat, but they won't know if you have a second monitor or not. But for you personally as the streamer, it's important to make life a little easier for yourself, and that second monitor is really freaking important. Just re-emphasizing.
I know people who stream from their laptop and they have to like switch back and forth between their windows, and sometimes they can't see chat, and I'm just like, how do you do it? I have no idea. So yeah, that's definitely a good one. When you first started experiencing growth, how did you handle it mentally, or was it physically taxing? Did you feel like you have to keep continuing to push yourself? Sorry to just drastically switch, but this is a question from chat here. So I'm going to kind of target our like larger to mid streamers here. Astral, you have had some growth here recently, and your numbers have been pretty good. So has that been a change for you? How are you dealing with that?
It's been a change in terms of mentality. I'm one of the type of streamer that I don't like looking at viewer count during streams. It kind of creates an anxiety moment, a bit of distraction, and kind of takes away because you're either like super happy or super dejected if it's good. So after streams, it's been a bit of a serotonin boost because I'm like, this was numbers high. In terms of dealing with the growth, it's been sort of feeling like surreal. Like I don't feel like I am at where I'm at, and I still feel like I'm the guy that had streaming off a laptop with no monitor, a headset, and a lazy boy recliner, because that's literally how I started streaming. But overall,
sorry.
It's surreal. No, you're good. Sorry.
There was a pause. Sorry, didn't mean to. Fluffy Wolf, your numbers have been pretty good. You're really consistent on multiple platforms. How are you dealing with some growth?
First of all, I want to stream from a lazy boy. That sounds sweet. I think the hardest thing is actually not the growth for me. It is watching the plateau. We've had like to align it with something else that others might. You have your hobbies, your activities, a sport or whatever you play, and you always hit that plateau, right? You learn things, you get better, you get to a point, and then you plateau, and you plateau for forever. And during that plateau, a lot of times on Twitch, it actually looks like things decrease. You're like the hot topic, and Wizards releases a set, and people are very opinionated on the set, and that might affect people. So you like go down and then back up and down and up. And I think for me, the hardest thing is to look in the short term of the growth, but rather you need to look in the long term. And as someone that like streamed for a year, that isn't even long enough. So when I got to 2, 3, and 4, and so on, that's when you really get to see if you're growing. So in short, I think don't worry about it going up and down. Get really excited for the up days, and take the down days as just a nice chill thing. Worry about the longer trend.
I also think another thing that really affects your growth is we talked a little bit about what market you're in, whether that's competitive or whether that's casual. And I think that is affected by tournament timing or all sorts of stuff. So there's a lot of things outside of your control. As a Magic creator, we get a big boost to our viewers when new sets come out, and then it slowly tapers off as people lose interest, especially as a limited player where people are like, I want to learn how to draft this format. And then they learn and then they kind of go away. So taking the good with the bad, like Fluffy was saying, is super important. You do start to notice these weird spikes with your content. Getting to 20 is really hard. Getting to 75, like there's these plateaus that Fluffy was talking about, and you will see them. And you'll get this weird spike in growth, and they can be really tough to deal with, especially if you start to slip, and that might be out of your control. I kind of have been pretty stable with my viewership as far as being in the Magic category for the last year and a half. And the last few months have had a nice little spike for me. My Magic content stuff is getting up to like 500 concurrent viewers without any like major hosts. And that is really big for me. And it's a little stressful, definitely. But that's the nice thing about growing as a content creator is you kind of grow at your own pace. So like you don't go from 2 viewers to 500, right? You have this like slow climb and you kind of ease yourself into it. So I don't feel like it's overwhelming or very mentally taxing, just because it does happen pretty casually. I saw James popped in here, so I'm assuming you got something to say if you'd like to go over it briefly.
Yeah, you want me to talk about like what it took me to grow, or my mindset while I was growing, or what I feel like right now that it's like kind of a plateau for me right now?
The question is do you find like a spike in your growth to be mentally or physically taxing?
Okay. No, actually, I didn't think it was mentally or physically taxing because, in fact, it was just even more fun for me. Being able to interact with that many people in chat. Like one of the things when I first started streaming is like, I want people to, when I do something funny, to just like, I want everyone to lull in my chat or lull W or whatever you want to say in chat. Or I want everyone to, I want to see just like 10 PogChamps in a row in my chat. Like as a content creator, you just want to see your audience go crazy, right? And when you have like 10, 15, 20 viewers, maybe into the 60, 70, 80 viewers, you might not have have people lurking, and that's completely fine. Or you might have people away from their keyboard, or a few people talking here and there. But I really like enjoy that chat and interaction. I love just like people being happy, And so when I started growing and those things started happening more, I was like, this is what I want. This is the fun part for me. And so it was actually the opposite. It wasn't mentally or physically taxing. I guess the only thing that was it wasn't even mentally taxing, if I can say that word right, was learning different things to do and not to do while there are many viewers in your chat.
Awesome.
So it wasn't like a taxing thing, but it was more like a learning curve a little bit. Because when people are going crazy in the chat, you might not have time to read every single person's message, or you might have to scroll up in your chat to start reading every person's message and things like that when you start getting a lot of people in chat. But as far as that, other than that, it's the opposite of mentally and physically challenging for me. I just got happier.
Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense. So one thing I kind of wanted to touch on as well is I think when you're starting out as a content creator, one of the most difficult things, and I've heard this from a lot of people, if you're starting from the ground up, is talking to yourself. If you have 0 to 5 viewers, your chat has a lot of dead space. So it is difficult to talk through your plays and discuss things kind of with yourself when people are not really interested. If you are just playing your game, no matter what it is, and you're silent because nobody's talking, people will pop in and then they'll leave because you're not really interacting or doing anything. So you have to keep up some level of conversation, even if nobody's talking back, and that is tough. So once you start to see some of that growth, like the one James was saying, then you start to have people to interact with, and I find that to be easier mentally when you actually have some sort of interaction. It makes the time go by faster, and I feel like that meaningful conversation or interaction is just super important and helps make your content better. So the growth is, to me, helpful as well. All right, guys, so we are about 40 minutes in. So I've had a couple of questions now leading to a completely different topic, and that is monetization. So I know, a lot of the creators here are part-time. We did kind of start our own esports org, which has a lot to do with sponsorships and things. So I do want to answer some questions about that. If you guys have anything specific, I'm going to just kind of start off general, but feel free to post them in the chat. So as a full-time content creator, there's several different ways that you monetize. Excuse me. Sorry about that. So there are several different ways that you monetize your content, and that is kind of different based on what size you are as a content creator. So small content creators are basically completely community funded. And I find that they have a higher sub ratio because the viewers are invested in the content. They're often more interactive. So they also know that that content does not exist if they do not support. So you're mostly community or crowd funded. And then once you start to climb, you start to get, sponsors and ad revenue and things like that. And then your viewers, not always, but they often tend to take a step back because you are now the kind of content creator that they put you up on the TV while they're cleaning. So they're not really necessarily interacting. So you have a lower sub rate or community driven thing, right? So I'd like to just briefly ask Astral, I'm going to kind of go down the line here. Is that something that you have found with your content? How has monetization been for you as far as like where your income comes from?
Yeah, to be honest, it is. So I would say I'm still in like the small area in terms of what would be like sub count and everything. My monetization is not a large part of my income. I work full time as a manager for an engineering company right now, doing the 40-hour grind a week. But in terms of the monetization I make from stream, it's a little bit here and there that I use to funnel back into stream. That being said, on that side, it actually taught me a lot about tax codes. Being that I'm in Canada, how I get taxed from the IRS is completely different than how someone in the States would be. So I've learned quite a bit about international tax laws, appropriate exchange rates, and detailing self-employed income as an affiliate contractor for Twitch. So monetization taught me about tax, and honestly, I learned it was a very valuable thing. So completely opposite direction than what I thought.
At the end, I am going to touch on, we'll do like a tax situation. So I'm going to come back to you on like the international stuff. I would love to hear about that because I don't have as much experience about it. Fluffy, you're kind of that mid-level streamer. How has your monetization experience been as far as like where your financials come from?
Just like Astral, I have a full-time job, the 40 hours a week. And so this is like just the hobby on the side. I think in terms of experimenting with monetization, I've probably tried quite the gambit of things, different affiliate programs, different merchandise, different things like that. And when you look back on everything, whether it's a t-shirt, a mug, a pin, a sticker, YouTube, Twitch revenues and stuff like that. Ironically enough, I guess when you look at what's monetized the most, it's YouTube, then Twitch. And it's kind of interesting. One thing I would say in terms of monetization is do listen to your viewers. Went 3 years, didn't do donation list, decided to open up this year, and it's put Twitch above YouTube if I consider the donations there. So like, if you're as long as it's not some crazy like make a stuffed animal brand wolf, which was one of the suggestions, and sell it to kids, within reason, definitely listen to your viewers, because what you were saying about the ratios and stuff, those viewers are invested in you and they want to support you and they want to show off things like, hey, if you've got a bunch of people that love stickers, they want to throw a sticker on a binder or a deck box or something, a playmat, whatever it may be. So that's where I think the monetization is probably the most. Listen to the viewers and experiment.
I've definitely done that with my Patreon. Several times where I've kind of gone through and updated my Patreon is I've asked people what they would like to see as a perk. And then you put that in and you give it as an option, assuming it's something within reach that you can, do without it being either too financially difficult, like making your own stuffed wolf or whatever. So asking your viewers what they would like to see is really cool. And that's always very, very helpful, especially when you're starting out and you're not a full-time content creator with big brand sponsors and things. One thing I wanted to touch on, which is something that I feel like I have probably the most experience with on the panel currently, and that is what is some of the warning signs for sponsors. And I feel like part of the reason I made Degenerate Gaming was to help out creators that I like and that are my friends, because there are a lot of predatory sponsors out there that take advantage. There are also a lot of esports teams and things that will try to put you under their banner and have you work for free and make money off of you, essentially. So a lot of the warning signs for me personally when I'm reaching out to sponsors for Degenerate Gaming is, people are really inconsistent. They are coming up with excuses as to why they haven't paid or why they haven't gotten back to you. Also, sponsors that expect you to do things last minute or don't give you information until the last minute is kind of a big warning sign for me. Because they're like, hey, we need you to do this thing tomorrow. Or they're like, hey, we want to sponsor you. And then at the last minute, they drop this other qualification on you. Or actually, can you do this while you're streaming? And that is not good. Typically, sponsors that follow through with payment or, that are good to work with typically have their stuff together. And it can be hard to find. But, anytime you take a sponsorship or sponsored content, shout outs, whatever, you are risking something as a content creator. Very few have paid up front. I did my first YouTube sponsor where I had to put in some ads and I got nothing. And, then I had to invoice them and trust that they would pay. And so far I haven't been shysted, but I know a lot of people who have. And there are a lot of companies who just disappear. I think a lot of Twitter sponsorships, they'll say, hey, we'll pay you to promote this tweet. And then that money never comes through. So there is a lot of risks. I would never, quit your job because you got an offer that doesn't pan out. So be really careful and cautious about the types of sponsorships that you're taking. And you guys can always reach out to other creators and check. Emails. I'm starting to get a lot of emails as well for hey, we would like to interview you. And then they'll we're going to put you in our magazine. This is something that a lot of people got last month. And then they offer for you to purchase copies of the magazine at cost. And then you ship them a payment and the magazine just doesn't exist. Or they're pretending to be a magazine that is. Another thing I saw on Twitter the other day was a pretty large content creator was asked to promote a brand. And she was like, hey, so what's the payment? And they're like, oh, we're not currently offering payment. We would like 3 to 6 months of you advertising for us. And if it goes well and we enjoy working with you, we might offer you a payment in the future for continuing to represent our brand. So there are a lot of people who are just looking to get content creators to work for them. And I feel like that little carrot of I could get paid as a content creator is enough for most people to jump out at. And it's really sad. So, poke other creators that join the Discord here for Degenerate Gaming. We have people in here all the time. Take a screenshot of your message and say, hey, does this seem shiesty to you? And a lot of us will get back to you. Also, it's good to know that those sort of scams are going around. And working with other creators is important. So I think that is a really, really good one. Okay, so we have a couple more minutes left. I wanted to touch on taxes. So the monetization for content creators, most of you guys will be sole proprietor. So you just have your own business at the end of the year or quarterly or whatever, you can do your taxes and you have to claim everything because nothing is withheld. My esports team, my sponsors, cash donations, bits, Twitch doesn't withhold. So this is from the US side of things. So all of your income has to be claimed at the end as a 1099. And then you write the government a nice fat check, depending on how much you made. One thing that's really, really neat as a content creator is you can write off a lot of things you normally wouldn't have. Like I get to write off my internet, part of my electric, part of my rent, because I use this as an office for my content. So I can write off a percentage of my rent based on the square footage that I use. So there is a lot to handle there. I would recommend talking to other creators. You know, I have a second phone that I use to stream phone games, and I write that off. I write off my tournament entries and my flights. I'm going to write off my trip to CGB because we created content. That's part of business. So there are a lot of everyday things that you can write off, which helps. And then there's also a lot of things as gamers that we would have probably bought anyway that we can write off, like all of my games. All of my Steam games, I just put that on my business card because I'm going to be actually streaming those games, which is really, really helpful. At a certain point, here in the US anyway, it is a little bit difficult. This is something I am dealing with currently because we started this team. So I have an LLC. So I'm no longer paying a self-employment tax, which is 15% in addition to whatever your local, state, and government federal taxes are. I'm now paying a payroll tax, which is different. So now my company is now paying me basically just like you would have a normal job with a W-2. And you take whatever that is, right? I can payroll myself anything I'd like. So there is a lot. I'm not a tax, advisor in any way, but there is a lot to look for. And also I would recommend talking to a lot of content creators. I'm pretty good friends with like Brian Kibler, and I talked his wife's ear off for like 6 months about like, how do you guys do this? How does this work? What kinds of things do you write off? And she just kind of made me a list, and it was really, really helpful. So I would definitely recommend, like I said, jumping into the Discord or, networking with other creators and just seeing how they do things. I wouldn't try to, be too overwhelming on any one content creator because we're dealing with a lot, but finding out what works for others and then researching it and talking to a tax professional is definitely where I would recommend. Astral, you are from Canada. How is the transition from Twitch to Canada? Like, do they withhold? How do you deal with that?
So it's complicated without delving into it. If you just kind of stare at it blankly, I'll be completely honest. Like when I got my first sort of statement from the IRS about my Twitch income my first year, I was like, how do I even file this? So it was a complicated mess. But after I started like doing what Nurgirl said, you reach out, you talk, and you connect, it kind of makes sense. On the Canada side for taxation, there's a tax treaty actually between the US and Canada. So I don't get taxed on my Twitch income. However, I don't get taxed by the US. I get taxed per Canadian rates. So when it comes time to file my taxes per year, I have to submit a statement of foreign income on my Canadian taxes, declare how much based on an average exchange rate for the year, apply that in, and then file a self-employment income on the side. And then my overall deductions will be based on my full-time income plus my part-time income from Twitch, with additional deductions I have to pay to the government on the amount I made from Twitch, because that's not calculated at the time I get that payment. So tax season's always a little weird for me because I'll have I get a little bit back from like my main job, and then it's like Twitch is like, you had this money from Twitch that wasn't taxed. Suddenly you owe us some money, and then the number is variable. But it's a good learning experience. Honestly, I've learned more about tax codes in the last 2 years than I ever thought I did, and it's come in handy in a lot of different situations, especially when talking to either other companies or other people that are working to offer opportunities of monetization in different areas, because it helps you keep in mind and understand what you'll have to do come tax season, so you're not kind of left in the dark, because you'll know right away how to treat international practices and international income.
Awesome. Fluffy Wolf, you're making an income. I know you have another job as well, but from 2 different platforms. Do you have any insight to share on what that might look like?
For me, basically I have my normal income, and then I have an affiliate program, Twitch and YouTube, and it just kind of comes in, and I use TurboTax to do my taxes, but basically you line item them in as like other independent income, and then I can't say without like the disclaimer of I'm not a tax professional, and I would advise maybe checking in with someone or parents or other things that have that. But basically, it just kind of lines it up, and then because it's, like you said, self-reported or whatever, it then goes against the tax income bracket that my larger job puts me into. That feels like the safest way to do it. I don't know if that's really the right way. I also have an LLC tied to it now, so I'm going to be doing the LLC stuff probably this year, maybe next year. It's always changing, always different. Just try to be diligent if you want to do it all yourself, or double check with someone.
Definitely.
It's confusing.
Yeah, having a tax person that you can talk to, at least, on your first year, is really important. I'm, like I said, transitioning from the sole proprietor to an LLC myself, and it is not easy. It is not going well. I actually have a huge shitstorm that I need to deal with in the next 2 weeks to try to iron things out before the end of the year. But it is definitely not easy. All right, so I think we've touched on a little bit of all of the different types of aspects of content creation. There are some resources that I'm working on for those of you guys who are in the Degenerate Discord. I'm actually going to be making kind of a spreadsheet that has some different recommendations for equipment that the team uses. I'm also going to be making a spreadsheet for emote artists and editors and things like that for some of the people that we've worked with that have trusted names or brands. So those are some resources you guys can look for through the Degenerate Gaming. I'm going to be kind of pooling all of our creators' knowledge and information together for you guys. Yeah, another thing is just jump into the Discord. That's kind of why I made it. We didn't make it for self-promotion or for you guys to self-promote or anything like that. It's so that way we all have a group of content creators, whether that be in the main team or the community content creator role, that can kind of help each other and do co-ops and work through a lot of this together. It's also a great place for our viewers, our cumulative viewers, to interact with each other and have a nice, safe space to do all of those things. If you guys enjoyed this panel, let us know in the Discord. I'm happy to run more of them. Maybe we can mix it up with other creators in the future. If this is something you guys would like us to host again, I'm happy to do that. And yeah, the last thing I wanted to say, guys, because this is going up on YouTube, is that we are, speaking of monetization, a team, and we are sponsored by a couple of different companies. So down in the description below, you guys are going to see some links for our sponsors and some discount codes. So if you guys would like to support our team and content and get more videos and panels like these in the future, make sure you guys check those out. KMC, cool stuff. And altar sleeves, I would definitely appreciate it. And yeah, if you guys have any more questions, I'll leave this channel up in the Discord. You guys can pop over there and ask some questions. Myself and some of our other creators who are volunteering today will probably be able to answer your questions for you. And if this is something that is popular, I will happily bring it back in the future. So thank you guys for being here. Any last words from our panel people? Start with you, Astral. Just give me a yes or no.
Yeah, if you're interested in streaming, just do it. Pick something, do it. Don't wait.
Awesome. Phoenix?
I agree with Astral. The best part about streaming is taking that first step.
The one?
The last thing I'll say is, like Astral said, if you're thinking about streaming, don't worry if you have the best equipment. I literally had one monitor for over a year before I started, and I still have a $20 webcam. Just
nice.
get the things to start. Don't get the best things ever, but just press start streaming.
Void?
Set a schedule. That's the biggest thing that I can suggest. And be consistent.
Fluffy Wolf?
What everyone else has said, as someone with also, I have a wife, line it up with them. Have them support you, but also support them outside the stream. Kind of like to the Void saying, schedules are great. It works wonders for on stream and off stream.
LK?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, when I started, I made lots of mistakes. You're going to make lots of mistakes. Just get out there, get through them. Okay, it's the best way to don't sit there stressing about those mistakes because you will make them. Just get through them. Best way to get started.
I mean, I've been streaming full time for 4+ years, and I'm still making them every day. So don't expect to stop making those mistakes. I definitely agree. Okay. The last thing I would say is become part of community. Don't focus so much on growth and self-promotion, and focus on making friends and enjoying your content and building a relationship with your viewers. I think that is very important. But yeah, nobody likes follow for follow guy, and it's not going to help you grow. It's not going to help anything. So just enjoy the content, enjoy your community, and see what you can do. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here. For those of you on YouTube, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. And check out those links below for our Degen sponsors. I'd appreciate it. And that's it. I love you guys very, very much. I'm going to be ending the panel here. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Panelists, thanks for being here. I do appreciate it, guys.